with Big D and Bubba.
Can you do it live?
Yeah, can you sing that live for us?
What? Lee Brice, who sang the opening, the Honky Tonkin jingle, is here with us in the studio.
Yes. We got more coming up. Lee Brice, our guest this week. Lee Brice is our guest this week. Hello.
What's up?
Lee.
Hi, Lee Brice.
Good to be back.
Dude, it's good to see you, man.
I know, I miss y'all.
By the way, Lee he sang our great kind of behind the scenes story. He was like, we're like, man, we got this thing and it doesn't sound right. It just sounds too computery. And he's like, I got it. And he took it in his studio and sang it right.
And then wasn't it Jared Neiman singing backup?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Doing harmonies?
O.J. Rod.
I'm loving that.
Lee was like, I was like, man, thanks for doing this. He's like, yeah, it didn't take me 18 and a half hours at all. It was fine. It's fine. How long did it take you to write More Than a Memory, though? Did it take you longer than 18 hours?
It took me about 45 minutes one morning before one of my first radio interviews, and then wrote the chorus with my two buddies about a month later in about an hour. So
is that hard to do it in sections like that? Like
no, because like a song like that, I'm like, I know it's going to be real special. Like I sensed it. And so I like to stop and chill and think about it, let it soak in. You know what I mean?
Well, it ended up turning into something huge, not only for you, but for Garth, because it was his comeback song. And we're going to go ahead and play it, and I want you to tell kind of how it fell into his hands afterwards. It's Honky Tonkin. Lee Brice is in the studio, and yeah, he wrote this for Garth. I remember when you showed us the demo of this song before the Garth version, it was almost like an alternative kind of thing because it was using this very dry microphone. It was cool, very different.
Kind of like we doing it right here. It'd be like a recorded acoustic, played a piano, and sang it, and it was very just nothing to it other than just the emotion of the song. So.
And
simple.
that's simple is best. I think.
Yeah.
Don't you think with songwriting?
If you're gonna hear a song, just hear the song.
Yeah.
How did that get into Garth's hands?
It was my publisher at the time. They had meetings all around town. They would just play each other's songs, like their own publishing companies. And Garth's publisher was in a meeting, and he heard the song, and he had nothing to do with it, no skin in the game. But he heard the song and goes, "Hey, can I play that for Garth?" Even though his company was going to make nothing. You know what I mean? It had nothing to do with him. He's just a great guy, and Scott shared, and he played it for Garth. And then next thing I know, I get a call on the phone when I'm going through security at airport, and it's Garth, like going, "Hey Lee, it's Garth." I'm like, "Garth who? What are you talking about?" You know,
I don't know Garth.
And then he's like, "Hey man, he said, I know this is special to you, but I was curious if I could record it." And I'm like, I mean, he says, and I want to put out as the first single.
Wow.
And I want it to be the biggest song ever. I'm like,
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll be right back. I'm just putting my shoes back on.
Isn't it the only song in country music history to debut at number one?
Yeah, I love to make records that cannot be broken.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Lee Brice is our guest this week, and we love Lee. Lee has a pretty much a story for, I want to say, almost every single song.
Well, I mean, there's a story for pretty much everything in our
pretty
life.
much every single song.
It might not be a entertaining story, but there's a story there, right?
When you're growing up, like, what was it? You're like, oh my gosh, one day I want to sing and be on stage with so and so, and then it ended up happening.
Yeah, I mean, so what's the question?
Yeah, it happened. You did it for everybody.
If there was one specific person that you said, I want to do something with that person one day.
I mean, it was really Garth when I heard him on the radio for the first time on my little alarm clock radio. I was like, who is this person? You know, the way he communicated even through the radio. You know, so that was a big one for me. And then a hometown guy, Edwin McCain. He was from South Carolina, and he had the big, huge notes that I grew up singing like gospel, and so Edwin was a close second with me, like as far as like influence.
We've hung out with Edwin, and he is a trip.
Yeah,
like,
he's a trip.
He is like a really different kind of person.
Buddy, he is like hilarious, and he'll tell you stories. He's like Garth, kind of like he'll tell you stories. Like I'm like, how do you remember all the details to every story you've ever been a part of or heard or done? So
Dwight Yoakam is that way.
I didn't know that about Dwight.
Yeah, Dwight's almost, I think he has a photographic memory. I think it's like
we just got done with Edwin's record. You know, my hero, and I ended up producing a record.
Oh,
you
how
know?
cool! Full circle.
It was so full circle. And I'm like, are you serious? Is this happening right now?
Lee Brice is our guest this week, and Lee, this part of the show we always we call it Dealer's Choice, where you get to pick a song and tell us a little story about it. It doesn't have to be your song; it can be any song.
Well, I looked at this little list, and I did see Carlene on here, which my mama's name is Carlene. Okay, but I'm gonna go to my daddy, Kenny, and so we grew up singing gospel music, and then if he did listen to say anything else, it was like the Oak Ridge Boys.
You mean secular? You mean
secular music? It was like vocal people, Alabama, the Oak Ridge Boys,
Statler Brothers.
Yeah.
And so I saw Elvira down here, and I just remember, and Daddy to this day is still in a gospel quartet. He sings the bass, And
did Mama sing tenor?
Well,
I had
the tenor singer. I know. I was waiting. The tenor singer, like sometimes if they can't quite get there, like Daddy goes and does that. So if I got range in my life, it's because my daddy has got that range. But he was like Elvira, you know what I mean? Like,
I felt that.
Yeah.
My ear tickled.
Lee Brice is our guest this week on Honky Tonkin. And he just sings along a little bit. So you have, a lot of people realize, but you built a really beautiful state-of-the-art studio at your farm.
I would say it's quite state-of-the-art, but definitely does the job, and
high quality.
I mean, it does do the job audio-wise, but it looks more like a log cabin, because we stacked everything together ourselves and wired it and all the things, and we did it. I mean, I drew it out on a napkin,
Wow.
But it works perfectly. And now I've cut all my stuff there, recorded everything there, and a lot of other people been coming and recording there. Doing
Do you
other
like
records.
not leaving home to do it, or?
Well, technically, the farm is not home, because the house is right down the road. We're hoping to build on the farm, but it is. But it's a different building. Even if the house was on the farm,
you have somewhere to go.
I used to have a little studio in the house, right? And that just gets a little. You're home all the time.
Yeah,
like
kids are walking in.
Yeah, you're just like, nah. So, I will say the kids still walk in on the farm. They just buzz on in there. Like I'm in there doing a session. They're like, "Hey, Daddy, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, guys, I'm sorry." So, I do love it though. It's lets me get my work done there, and honestly, I got a big kitchen out back and 4-wheelers and a pond. So when the guys come over to play or whatever, they're like, "Can I take a ride back to the pond real quick and go bass fishing?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." But I mean, it's really a cool environment.
That's country experience, man.
Pump House
Studios. That's the name of it. Lee Brice is our guest. You can always find him online. Follow him there at Lee Brice. Lee Brice is our guest this week, and the early 2000s. We kind of reach into the early 2000s, and a little song called "Love Like Crazy." Give us a background.
Love Like Crazy. I heard this song. My producer never pushed songs on me. He never did. One time he said, "Hey, I wrote this song today, and I just want to play it for you before I play it for anybody else, because you're my priority. Like, this is what was a thing, Doug Johnson, he had written this, and I was like, man, that's a hit song. I was like, I want to see if it's me. I said, but let me get in the studio real quick and just do a vocal on it and see how it feels.
Yeah.
And I hit that big, long note, like
Edwin
McCain, like I told you growing up. And when I hit that note, like chills came over. I was like, okay, yep,
that's it.
There we go.
That's
and
funny because I always thought you wrote this song because it sounds like a Lee Brice song.
Well, that's Doug Johnson. He, we were best friends. Like, he was like my kind of uncle / big brother / producer for a long, long, long time. And he's also, so he knew me inside out. So when he wrote this, I think he was maybe thinking about me a little bit,
Yeah.
Lee Brice is our guest this week. You can always find him at Lee Brice and his social media, doing all his touring. And have you gotten into the wine business and the
not the wine business?
What
we got a little tequila out there. Dolce Vita, and a little whiskey, American born whiskey, and
And weren't you doing something with windows as well?
Well, we were. I told you I built a studio. I had to get some people to help.
This is the best. This is the best Lee Brice story ever. Go ahead, Lee.
I mean, window world. They're like, hey, hey. I was like, hey, if y'all want to come put windows in my studio for free, maybe do a commercial or something.
You'll be their spokesperson.
Yeah.
Weren't you just looking at a billboard one day?
I think so.
Or a commercial or something, and you're like, oh, hey, I need windows.
I was like, windows, and I caught. They're like, yeah, cool, we'll do it. So they showed up and put a bunch of windows in my studio. So I was like, chalk that one off the list to build the studio.
Yeah. Now you're like, ooh, I should look at 4-wheeler commercials. Maybe I can get someone to give me the 4-wheeler.
One night he was there drinking tequila and looked at the bottle and said, hey, I have an idea.
I could do? Always scheming you, Lee.
Sharpie. We're going to go after Sharpie.
Sharpie's next. Sharpie's next. Lee Brice in the studios. We're enjoying him this week with the show Honky Tonkin. And Hard to Love is this. Did you write Hard to Love?
Kinda, but not.
What happened?
No. Well, took a bunch of my friends down to write for my record, and I was at a table with my 2 buddies, and my other 3 buddies were like through the glass door in the kitchen writing another song, all geared towards my record and what we're doing. And I went and made me a ham sandwich, and they were in the middle of writing this song, Hard to Love, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That sounds like it's going to be on this record, you know." And they were doing a bridge. I said, maybe y'all should do something like this for the bridge, you know, blah, blah, blah. Maybe change that one thing. And then I went back out to my song that I was writing out there. And so technically, no, I'm not a songwriter on that song, but I feel like it was definitely written for me. I mean, for surely written
with a ham sandwich in hand.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go make a sandwich, you know, every now and then.
And what about the song that you wrote, Eating Your Ham Sandwich? Did
anything ever happen with that?
I think it was called Still. I think Tim McGraw recorded that one.
Oh, look at you, little flex. Okay, I wanted to make fun of you, but I can't. Just a little guy by the name of Tim McGraw did it. Here you go. It's Hard to Love, Lee Brice on Honky Tonkin. Lee Brice, our guest this week. You ever, we play stuff 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and what's your memory of your first country concert?
I went and saw Shenandoah when I was 15.
Was Shenandoah everybody's first concert?
I mean, let me tell you something. And so Doug Supernaw was the opening act. Then it was Confederate Railroad, and then Shenandoah.
That's a good show.
Gosh,
and we saw the show, then we went. There was a bunch of seats kind of open at the very, very top back of the thing, nosebleed. So we just went up there just so we could have some space. And during the Shenandoah concert, Doug Supernaw came out, and their whole band, they came up and they just randomly sat down right beside us.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? And I had this hat on. I'm like, can you sign this? And we're all watching the show together, like watching Shenandoah with the opening act. And I was like, yep, this is what I'm going to be doing.
That's a cool first concert.
I was 15.
Wow.
You know?
That's cool.
Perfect.
Woman Like You.
Whatever happened to that piece of crap song? Tim McGraw cut it. Oh, awesome. That's my favorite thing so far.
It was a single.
I know. It's this little thing. Isn't that great, guys? I literally wrote 2 songs while eating a sandwich. And we're still talking about them. So there's that.
I should probably have not eaten the sandwich.
Yeah, you're so huge.
This is Into a Woman Like You.
Lee Brice, our guest, and looking at some of the great songs of the years. Your first number 1 song, A Woman Like You.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really fun. My buddy John Stone said, "Hey, dude, I wrote this song. You got to hear it like right now." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm almost home." He's like, "No, I'm in your driveway. I'm waiting for you."
Oh, wow.
So I pulled up, I jump in the truck, and he literally just kind of sang it for me. He didn't even have a work tape of it.
What?
And I was like, all right, there's something really unique about this. And so we went into my little rental house, and I had this mini little studio set up, and I started playing this beat. Boom, 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 boom. And I thought of it like a halftime, like train beat, which is a country thing. Got into the studio the next day. We were like, let's cut it. We went in and cut it. Drummer's like, hey, this beat you're doing, you sure you want it to be this? He said, because you do know it's a samba, right? It's an actual samba. Doom, 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 doom. I said, I mean, whatever it is, it needs to be there. So yeah, we played. I think probably the first samba ever played on like country music.
Wow,
it's a true samba,
and it went number 1.
It was our first number 1. Yep.
That's interesting.
Trying to give you like sound bites.
Yeah. I appreciate your professionalism. This will be.
Is this another dealer?
We should do one of these
No,
breaks like Alan Jackson would do.
Hour 2, segment 4. All right. And all right, I'm good.
Lee Brice, our guest this week. You can find him online. He's at Lee Brice.
And check out all his new music. Got new music actually out now. And you said you wanted to do a segment of the show and do the interview like Alan Jackson would.
Now,
I would like to hear how you would
I know him, and he's like,
yeah.
You asked me a question.
Yeah, Lee, are you? I'm sorry, Alan. Or you're still Lee, but as
I'm
Alan?
Lee.
I
He'll
got
be
you, okay.
Ali. He'll be
You'll be
Ali.
Ali. So Ali, this is what's anything that's happening right now with the world and.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening.
That's pretty much it.
That's
it. He is a hard interview. He's hard. You know who else is hard? Reba's not.
What?
Reba does one-word answers.
It's very.
You can ask a question, she'll go, yes.
She leaves you wanting more.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you have to. You're kind of like, and she makes you, and she smiles. That's right. I know. I mean, she always.
That's wild because she's so.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, not you wouldn't think that.
I know. It's not easy. This isn't easy to do this. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, yeah, it's easy with you guys.
I'm sure. Lee Brice is our guest this week on Honky Tonkin. Lee Brice, our guest this week, and we're talking about Trace Adkins, and Lee was talking about how he beat up Trace Adkins one time at a bar.
Yeah,
And
right,
it was
right.
great.
That's actually the point. Like he's like such a monster of a man.
You know, you and he played college football. There aren't a whole lot of college. There's a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
A lot of baseball players in country music, but not really football players. I can't really even think of.
I mean, I don't know. Did Sam Hunt maybe play some college?
Oh,
yeah, Sam
that's
Hunt was
right.
a quarterback,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
he
right.
did.
You're right.
But Trace is like a monster. I mean, he's like a beast, and
Yeah.
and he's so tough and rugged, and been through so much stuff. Obvious, like all the stories and all the things. But he put out a song. His voice was so like big and buttery. It's like every light in the house is on. And I mean, he's not going every light. You know what I mean? Like
He's not
I have to
over-singing.
do.
He's not over. You
It
don't
just-
do it either.
It just sounds so.
It's so good.
He's just so good. I love that song. I love those melodies. Those years, the stuff that y'all play a lot. Like this is one of those things that I think country music's coming back around to. It's
Oh, yeah.
like real deal.
Simple.
You know,
I was
simple but
playing.
complex.
I was playing. What's his name for my mom the other day?
Mm.
Zach Top.
Oh yeah,
And
I love him.
my mom cried. She said, "Country music is back,"
That's
and
true.
she was bawling. I'm like, "Yeah,
He's
it
true
sounded
to
like
it.
the 90s.
He's true to it. I like him a lot.
Lee Brice is our guest this week, and so Lee, what are your thoughts on? I know we have the technology to do like holograms, that kind of thing. So you could have like a Keith Whitley on tour, quote unquote.
Wow.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are pushing it, and a lot of people are okay with it. What are your thoughts?
I think there's two different types of shows. I think there's like a show that's like a entertainment show value. Like let's just say Taylor Swift, and she's got a million different outfits and all the bells and the whistles and all that stuff.
Pyrotechnics,
You know, all the things. And then there's a concert. And like to me, a concert is really like I still stick to so much. It's me and my band. We've been together for almost 20 years. And like I don't really care if there's some lights and that's about it. I mean, we might have a screen, but that screen is showing us live for the most. You know what I mean? So I think there's a little. I love both of them. I think there's quality to both of them. You know, if you're going to go watch, Bruno Mars, he sort of does a little bit of both. You know, it's like kind of crazy to watch his show, but there is a little. I mean, I'm not against anything. I just do what I do, and
I think
I like concert a little more.
I think it would be cool, like, if they did a Beatles, hologram tour to go and see the guys in each era. They have different holograms for the, the Sgt. Peppers and
Now, look, to do that and go see that would be one thing, but I think as an artist to go bring somebody on stage with you, unless there was like a really specific song,
like to do like a George Jones duet with Lee
yeah.
Brice on stage with the hologram.
If you did that, like, and it was, tastefully done, that could be kind of emotion, like kind of like step back in time. Could be really cool, but not too much of that stuff for me.
It would look like the Tear My Beer video.
Well, I mean, Brad Paisley had old Carrie Underwood up on stage with him the whole summer, and it ain't like she was on the tour bus or all following him around. You know?
That's right. Good point. Lee Brice is our guest this week, and a song. You've got so many great songs and hits. And I tell you, man, I drive your truck. It's a bit special.
Buddy, it is. And I tell you, I knew it was special when I heard it, and I felt like the world would kind of get their own take from it, and all that happened. But I didn't realize that all these years later that it would still continue to bless me in the way that, like, I can every day, somebody's got a story or connection, meet and greet or walking down the street, whatever, and they have their own. So it's still connecting with people to this day. And so that's my goal, is to have stuff that will hopefully be around forever. Hard to Love and like I Drive Your Truck, songs that like hopefully can be classic. And so that's definitely one that's around, and it means so much to so many people. It keeps me definitely grounded and like my perspective in a good spot.
After every show, does someone say that song
Yep.
specifically touched me?
Yeah, and it'd be like, it might not be a truck. It might be
A boat.
or somebody's jacket or like whatever or
Yeah.
like this house. I mean, the point of it is
Keeping that memory alive.
Yeah, and making sure that it puts you in your place and going, okay, let me make sure that I'm being appreciative of what I got and the health of my family and all the things. And so that's continues to be a blessing to me.
Lee Brice is our guest this week, and I would like to know, Tracy Lawrence hosted the show before we did. And so he did it for 10 years, and we took over, and it's gone downhill from there. But we're just talking about him off the air. One of your favorite Tracy Lawrence songs?
Yeah, I mean, Time Marches On. I mean, the songwriting talent in this town obviously has been there for so long, and like people forget about, like, the song is catchy, right? Time marches on.
Yeah, melodically, it's got a thing.
Even if you didn't know the words, but if you go listen to the words, the story that it tells
Mm-hmm.
and the pictures that it gives you, it's like insane. It's insane.
The evolution of the family.
Yeah, it's like what, and it's so real. Like, and a lot of like South Carolina, South Alabama, Kentucky. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
probably other spaces too, but I'm just saying those definitely.
20 miles out of every big city in America.
Yes, America. Lee Brice is our guest this week. So if you could go back in time and do a tour with any artist that you haven't before, you've gone with everybody there. Who would you pick?
Man.
In any genre, any era,
I mean, it would be,
but country.
it would be really cool to do like, and I'm not trying to be cliche, but like John Mayer, like his songwriting and his stuff. It's like it's bluesy and it's like songwritery, and he went through his, when he first came out, it was like this acoustic songwritery guy.
Yeah.
Nobody realized that he was like this big blues player and this great guitar player and this, I don't know. That's one of the off the top of my head, but like some of those guys I grew up listening to, Coldplay, that kind of stuff. Like those, I actually got to see a couple concerts. I'm going like mind blown.
That would actually be really cool. Lee Brice and Coldplay
that
in
would
concert.
That would be really cool.
That would be.
We could do drinking class together.
Or maybe not. I don't know. That's a thought.
Yeah, drinking class with Coldplay.
Lee Brice is our guest this week, and man, before you go, I appreciate you bringing out a guitar. Is there any? Do we need to how do we make requests? Is there a?
Well, I mean,
do we do a QR scan on your face?
I brought a guitar because y'all got some here, but they got lights on them and they're not quite. Not quite.
Yeah, they're too fancy. They're too fancy for
Y'all
you.
could just well, let's just do something. We always do. I brought a guitar because we always do something.
We always do.
So
You
what
always,
fits this era? If we're going to play something from the era of 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
I mean,
Why don't we do like what you did to, kickstart this guy named Garth's second career?
well, I think he probably did that, but yeah, we talked about it. Let's all right. Let's do this. This is still feels like sometimes it still feels like I was just dreaming and somebody needs to pinch me to this day. But here we go. This was the love song that I needed to write to get over this girl. People say she's only in my head. It's gonna take time, but I'll forget. Say I need to get on with my life. What they don't realize is when you're dialing 6 numbers just to hang up the phone, driving across town just to see if she's home, waking a friend in the dead of the night just to hear him say it'll be alright. When you find the things to do to not fall asleep, 'cause you know she'll be there in your dreams. That's when she's more than a memory. I took a match to everything she ever wrote. I
Watched all her words go up in smoke. Tore all the pictures off the wall. That ain't helping me at all. 'Cause we're talking out loud and nothing but air. And you look like hell and you just don't care. When you're drinking more than you ever drank, sinking down lower than you ever sank. When you find yourself falling on your knees and praying to God, begging and please, that's when she's more than a memory.
Piece of it. Oh,
Oh, wow. I think Hauser, Dunn, Brice.
oh, man.
3 of the best voices in country,
Hauser.
in my opinion.
Gosh, man. That's good company to even be spoken.
Wow. Wow. So good.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're playing that song. We're
Now my heart's
back.
beating off
I know. I
fast.
feel like we need
Lee Brice is our guest. Hang
need a
tight. We'll come
cigarette.
right back on Honky Tonkin.
Lee Brice has been our guest. Dude, thank you.
Absolutely, man. No, it's good to see y'all.
I
Good to
love-
see you, too.
Legitimately.
I love the fact that you did our jingle for the show, and it's just like full circle. You went from doing the song to actually being here as a guest.
Well, I know, and I get to talk to y'all. I do get random calls from you sometime in the mornings, and I'm like,
Sometimes.
oh, they're calling. They
It's
must have some question.
Always stupid. It's always going to be dumb.
But I love to hear your voices, but it's good to actually be back in here. I thought it's been a while since I've been in this little studio.
This little studio. Wow, thanks. Hey, Lee is touring. You can find his tour. Just go to all his social media
It's time
at
to
Lee Brice.
go. Honky Tonkin on the radio.
With Big D and Bubba.